everyone. So thank you for coming. I'm Chloe Clover, CEO of Wonder. Let me see if I can get this clicker to work, because it wasn't working for Joseph earlier. There we go. So yeah, hi, I'm from Wonder. So hopefully some of you caught us on the panel. Joe's pointing me to look. Yeah. Do you want to grab a seat, Kato? There's more than one of us here, which was... so really excited to talk to you guys today about brand personality, how to unlock it, what it means. But before I do that, it's probably helpful if I give you a little bit of background on who I am, why that's important to us, and why they've asked me to come and talk to you about it. So here we are, leveling up your brand personality like a pro. So what is brand personality? So... brand personality runs through everything we do at Wonder, and it's when we were traveling, we figured this. We figured it out. So brand personality, when Lou and I, my business partner, we set up Wonder, we quickly identified that there was a gap in the market. Brands that were putting content out lacked personality. They were very corporate. They were putting stuff out that they thought that people wanted to see, audiences wanted to see, when in actual fact what they were lacking was thinking about the audience, thinking about what was important to them, and combining those two things together. So we found that as Wonder, we capitalised on that, and that's how we grew. Since then, we've worked with some incredible brands like BBC, Forbes, Greg's, Right Games, some amazing brands, and we're very fortunate to have done that, and we've done that through brand personality. So that's me. That's also my business partner. If you're in the room or if you're at the event today, you will spot her. Go and talk to her. She hates it. Please do that. Always pushing me in front of the camera. But yeah, So I was very fortunate to have made the Forbes under 30 list at Wonder, and that's just down to how fast we grew, how fast we entered the market, and the difference we made for the clients that we worked with. When we started, this slide will make sense in a second, because when we started, I mentioned earlier, but for the people that didn't catch me earlier, I was very lost before we started Wonder. I dropped out of school when I was 15. I learned later on in life that I was actually dyslexic, probably accounted for a lot of that. I never connected to it. I really struggled, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I was really passionate about filmmaking. I was really passionate about art. I loved getting into the nitty-gritty of what made people tick, but I didn't know how to articulate that, and I didn't know where that was going to take me in life. So I felt really lost. My business partner, actually, we met because she was in a band. I was a drummer as well, by the way. She's a great guitarist, amazing guitarist. I was pretty average as a drummer, but they were looking for one and they took me on. And then I became the Yoko of the band. We got together and it all fell apart. But then we decided that, then we realised that, we didn't have a lot in front of us, a lot of options. We were being told that to make something of our lives, we needed to leave the area that we grew up, which is the northeast of England. So we bought a one-way ticket to the other side of the world, and then it was whilst we were there that we saw that gap. We saw that brands were really struggling to connect. It was just as social was booming online. Everybody knew that they needed it, as they do now, but they just didn't know how to connect. So that's where we came in. We started making content for brands as a way to travel, and we did amazing things, skydiving, going through caves, doing all this cool stuff, and we got known for that. We got known for making impact, and we realised that if we wanted to do something really special and we wanted to make social impact, we needed to go home to where everybody told us that we couldn't do anything, set up our company and make difference, and that's what we did. Hence Wonder was born. Now it kind of makes sense now. You should have seen the other iterations of this slide, by the way, because it was quite graphic, and I just told the guy we needed to tone it down a little bit. So now Wanda's grown a lot since then, and we have an incredible team, and team is what makes up the personality and the makeup of our brand. It runs through everything we do, and we're very, very proud of the people that work for us, work with us, whether that's internally in our team or whether that's externally in our clients. That people bit is always been very important to us. So we've done loads of cool stuff. So we're I'm very British, so I always struggle to say this line. Multi-award winning, we've done some really great things. So we're multi-awards winning agency, and we're also a production company where we create TV programmes for BBC or Paramount or whoever it might be. So we work with big brands, and we also work with as a production company. So that's kind of the split of us. So there's essentially two parts to us, but they both specialise in content and personality, and that's how they join together. So we do strategy, creative, delivery. If any words on this slide deck seem like they're a little bit missing or a little bit disjointed, it's because we use Google, and Google runs through everything we do. However, here they use PowerPoint and Microsoft, and when you convert those two things, you might have found, if you've ever done a slide deck, converted it to PowerPoint, things get a little bit messy. So if I do apologise. But yeah, so we do strategy, creative, delivery, whether that's for agency and brand or whether that's for TV and production. So brand personality, which is why we're all here. What does that look like? I'm actually, I would love, because people is really important to us, personality is really important to us. I've actually brought along with me Caitlin, who's part of our personality strategist team, and I would love her to get the opportunity to talk to you a little bit about that as well. So Kate, I'm going to pass over to you for a couple of slides. She'll do all the fun stuff today, and then I'll do the talky bits. There you go, Kate.
Hi, yeah, so my name's Caitlin, or Kato, and I do a lot of strategy at Wanda. One of the biggest things about understanding brand personality is to understand how similar it is to a human personality. So this is the lovely Ben, who's a part of our team. He is ambitious, he's fun, he's adventurous, he's a bit cheeky, he's creative, and he's really passionate about what he does. And that's all of the really important things that make up Ben as a person. On the flip side, that's also all of the things that make up Wanda as a brand and Wanda's personality. So Wanda's ambitious, Wanda's fun and cheeky, adventurous. I mean, Wanda began with wandering and an adventure. We're creative and we're passionate. And something really important to remember when you're thinking about your own brand personality is, if this was a person, what would their personality be? Because it really does kind of lend to each other. So, like Clover said, I get to do the fun stuff, which means I get to do a little game. So, something that you can tell with a brand if they have a strong personality is this kind of recognizability. So, some brands, you see them, and even without seeing their logo, without seeing their name, you just know who they are because they have such a strong messaging and such a strong personality. So, I've removed all the logos from these images. Does anyone want to have a guess at who this brand is? Yeah? I've heard a couple of people get it right. So this is Nike. And they have very strong brand identity, and they have for a very long time. So this is kind of the key things that make up Nike as a brand. They're inspiring, they're bold, they're very bold with their messaging and their words. They show real people, they're inclusive, they're diverse, they really push community, but they also push power in individuals and what they do. And then obviously they have their really iconic slogan, the just do it. But yeah, so that's Nike. So anybody want to have a guess at this one? This one's maybe a bit easier. Or not? There we go. I've got a couple of people. So this is Lego. Love a bit of Lego myself, and I'm sure people in the room do. It's not just for kids. I love Lego's kind of personality and the way they present themselves online because I'll show you. They keep that kind of youthful feeling. They keep the fun. They keep the nostalgia, especially. I mean, a lot of us probably grew up playing with Legos. I know I did. So they really make you think about your childhood, but they are also here for the children of today and building their creativity and building their curiosity, and also learning is one of their staples of their personality. And obviously you build with Legos, but also building people up as they grow from childhood. So this one is a bit of a newer brand, actually, with quite a strong personality. Does anybody know this one? I'll move out the way if I'm in the way. Did I hear it? Something cereal. So this brand is actually a brand called Surreal, and they do cereal, yeah. So they do kind of not slightly healthier, but cereal that has a lot of nutritional value. But their marketing is really interesting because they really push things out of the box. They do things very differently. They do things very boldly. If you scroll through their socials, it's all like bold colours and text and very cheeky and very tongue-in-cheek. So there's their logo, and this is what they do. So they're disruptive and they're bold. But they're also really silly, is something that I see a lot with them. They really push the limits of what they can say and what they can do, but in a way that feels really relatable and authentic. Like, even though they'll have an entire marketing team behind portraying this personality, it feels like it could just be one guy with a really great sense of humour. They're slightly risky, but I think it pays off because it really does come across as funny and clever at the end of the day. And I'll pass back over to Clover real quick.
Wasn't she brilliant? Just got to say that. So Caitlin, this is the first time that she's delivering to a room like this. It's very daunting, so I appreciate everyone being so lovely. So there's as Caitlin said, you can kind of start to break down the makeup of brands when you see them, and it runs through everything that they do. So Surreal is a great example of a brand that you'll see that they're the same on LinkedIn, and they've got the same personality traits on LinkedIn as they do on Instagram, or they do on the underground. You know, their messaging, their brand, their personality, it runs through everything that they do. So brand personality essentially is the thing that builds an emotional connection. It builds trust. That's the bit that really gets you to connect with a brand, really humanises a brand. In the same way, right, okay, so as an example, you think about that there's a connectivity that's lost when dating now, right? Because everything's quick and everything's fast and everything's instant, and you feel like at points it can be hard to connect with people, and you have to try a little bit harder because everything's digital and everything's online. It's the same with brands. If you think about getting a customer as dating, I'm not sure if that is the right thing, but if you think about it as kind of really trying to connect with someone, same way on Tinder. If you see someone, you like the way that they look, or you like the way that they present themselves, you're going to give them that little bit more of a chance, and then as you date them, you really get to know and understand them, and that's what brand does. We connect with brands that reflect our own personalities and values. We want to connect with people that reflect our own personalities and values. We want to connect with people that are passionate about the same things that we are, that are interested in the same things that we are, that talk about things that interest us. That is the same with brand as it is with people. So when we're talking about personality and brand personality, really what we're talking about is humanising a brand. How can we connect to them on that emotional level? Because as humans, we're emotional beings, and that's what sets us apart. So brand personality, essentially, it shapes the way that we think, feel, and engage with a brand. So the things that it makes us think about, ultimately it's that feeling we get, and then that's what makes us then engage. When you think of personality and you think of brands, you think of what is it that they stand for. What is it that you stand for? What is it that brand stands for? And what does it then want you to become when you're connecting with them? Brand personality creates and defines a point of difference between you and your competitors. It's the thing that makes you authentic. It's the thing that makes you different. It's the thing that makes you stand out. It's the thing that makes you a real ass person. I know if we're looking at the developments in AI, right, and which is great, and I'm sure we're all excited, but I'm sure we also feel like it's the Terminator coming to life, and we're a little bit scared by that, right? The robots really are taking over. So what makes us different to robots? Like, AI is a great tool when we're talking about automating processes, but it's not human, and it's not human experience, it's not human connectivity, it doesn't think, feel and create the way that we do, and that's what is your personality, that is your point of difference. It makes you different to robots. Okay, or do you want to do another game?
Right, hello, I'm back for another game. So whilst I explain why there is a Where's Wally or Waldo for any Americans on the board, I have hidden some brand logos in here. If anyone spots them, then points to you, and also points if anyone spots Wally. But when you're kind of carving out your identity and the way you speak as a brand and what your personality is, the hardest part of that can be that the market is just so crowded. There's so many brands every single day on social media doing marketing, doing advertising, that are trying to say who they are and what their values are, and are trying to make people listen. And it's a little bit like a Where's Wally scene. Your brand can basically be Wally in these scenarios, trying to stand out against everybody else in this crowded market. Has anybody found any brands? Oh, okay, I've got a few hands up. Is it at the front? Aldi. Yeah, you've found Aldi. Has anyone found any others? Yeah?
Walkers and Yorkshire Tea.
Walkers and Yorkshire Tea. Any?
And Wally as well.
Oh, nice. We've got someone who's found Wally. At the back, did you find a different one?
Well, we're kind of cheating because we've got it like close up. So we've got Yorkshire Tea.
Yeah, Yorkshire Tea, yeah. And Coca-Cola, yeah, so that's all 4 of them found. So I've got the next slide. Here's the answers hidden in here. 4 pretty iconic brands, especially to British people. Yorkshire Tea, Coca-Cola, Walkers and Aldi. 4 brands that I enjoy myself. Yeah, all at the same time, all together. But yeah, it's just kind of showing that it's so crowded that even some of these big players can feel a little bit hidden in this market, and your personality is what's going to make you stand out. And also, here's Wally for anybody who was looking for him. There's the evil version of Wally in here as well, the one in black and white. I can't remember his name.
Is he Waldo?
No, Waldo's the American one, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my game. And I'm going to pass back over to Clover after I've done another game.
Okay, so we're talking about brand personality. We kind of understand, the makeup of what that is. So when we're talking about it, we understand what it is and why it's important. But what then we need to do is to understand how to implement that. So to do that, we're setting the foundation essentially. So we need to be looking at our brand voice, we need to be looking at our visual identity, and we need to be looking at our messaging. So that our brand voice, that's the way that we communicate, the way that we speak. It can be as simple as the words that we use. It can be the inflection. As a good example, wonder. We talk in our business in the same way that we do on a personal level when we're just chatting to people. I actually saw someone outside, and they were talking about the panel and said, you know, it was really great and I'm really inspired, and as like long sleeve jumper on, and they said, when I get to the level that you are, I don't know why he said that, but he did, and it was lovely. When I get to the level that you are, I'll feel confident enough to roll my sleeves up and have a tattoo on show like you do, and I'll feel confident enough to say bollocks on stage like you did. And I said to him that I feel like that's maybe like the point of difference, right? Like, I see business in the way that I see human relationships and connections, and I do that in being authentically always me, and that's how we've grown Wonder. And I want my team to be authentically them, as long as they're not donuts, let's say. Don't be a donut. You can replace donut with any word of your choice. But yeah, so it's important, I think, to be authentically you at all times, and that can be brand voice, that can be visual identity, or that can be messaging, so the things that you're discussing and talking about through your brand. So this is actually our IP, so I probably shouldn't be sharing it, but I am. So I'll get told off by my team probably. But so there's a framework that we use when we're going through how to make up you as a personality, as a brand, to really dig deep into who you are and what you do. And I really do recommend looking at this in your brands if it's something that you've not done already. So what is the foundations of you? What's the framework? What makes you you? And so to start, I'm going to start at the top of a house. So what is your purpose, your ultimate purpose, your ultimate why you are doing the thing that you're doing? What is that bit that you're going to get to be the best in the world at X, to change the world for this reason? What is that purpose? Why are you doing the thing that you're doing? Not some big convoluted paragraph, but we're talking about that one sentence that is your purpose, your drive, your reason for being. Under that, we're looking at your ambition. So you've got your reason for being, your purpose, and then we're looking at your ambition. So where do you actually want to take this? And you know, it could be to be a multi-million company, and we want to be in these markets. And it's like, well, what is the? I'm a really ambitious person, and I really empower people to feel the same way. And I think in this section, it's important to go as big as possible, to really drive yourself to what if you could do anything with this thing that you've got. If this is a personal life, if this is your brand, if this is your business, if you could do anything, what would it be? And write that down. Your proposition, so what is the thing that you're actually doing? So are you creating content? Are you selling this product? What is your actual proposition in the marketplace? And then you break down 4 ways in which you're going to do that. How are you going to do that? You're going to do that by doing X. You're going to do that by selling this product, this market. You're going to do that by doing this thing. The 4 ways in which you're going to achieve your proposition, your ambition, and your purpose. And then these are my favourite, we look at your values. So what do they look like? You've met one of my team already. You've also seen another one on stage who shares the same values, Ben. These are the things that are important to you. So for us, our values are things like creativity, are things like fun, ambition. So these are the 5 things that are gonna that are the most important things to you, and that you want to run the life force of your organisation or your brand. Your brand foundation, the most important piece that you sit on top of, and then your personality traits. So how do you speak to a customer? Are you informal? Are you authentic? Are you relaxed? Or do you feel like you want to be seen as an educator? What are those things that make you, that are the traits that make you you? Just as an FYI, we actually do this with brands, and we go into a little bit more detail. So if anyone does want to come up to me afterwards and chat through this, we can talk through it, and kind of I can explain it in a little bit more detail. Or if you're online, reach out to us, of course. So what about marketing? So we've talked about what brand personality is. It's the makeup of you. And then we've also talked about how do we find out what it is. So we go through the brand building exercise, and we break that down. We look at ambitions, we look at values, we look at personality traits. But what about the marketing side of it? How do we use that? So brand personality, it's who you are, it's your emotion, it's how you think, it's how you feel. Marketing, believe it or not, is telling people all of those things, right? Telling people who you are. You want to reach, persuade, and inspire your audience, your customer. Knowing your audience. Do you want me to go back?
No, just
This.
who you are telling the people. Yes.
This one.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so brand personality, who you are, and that's so the makeup of you. It's your emotion, how you think, how you feel, and then when you're talking about how do you actually implement that, the marketing, that's where marketing comes in, right? And that's telling people all of those things. You're telling people who you are. You want to reach people, you want to persuade and inspire them, and you do that a number of ways. So that can be connecting through social, making sure that your brand is aligned and your messaging is clear and all of those things. Everything that you're doing is coming from that brand framework, whether that's got your values running through, your purpose is always at the front of your mind, your ambition is important and is driven through the organisation, and then filters right the way down to the foundation of your makeup and your personality traits. All of that comes through when you're marketing. All of that is that consistency that has been talked about a ton over the past 2 days. So we're talking about how we are reaching people and breaking that down. And again, whether that's through social, that can be organic social or paid social, whether that's through events like these, this is still marketing, this is still meeting people, this is personal development, absolutely. But you're still here and doing business and learning and growing. That could be, like I said, paid or organic. It could be something that is like outdoor media that is still important. So all of these things, there's routes to market. It could be getting into, if you've got a product, how do you get into supermarkets? All of these things is marketing, but at the end of the day, it's still got to be authentically you in how you do that, how you approach it. So yes, there's all these different avenues you can go down, but in all of them, you are authentically you. Knowing your audience. So knowing your audience is key, and there's many ways in which we build audience and we understand them. Later date we can discuss brand persona in more detail, and that's where we really break someone down into, when we're looking at personas, we're thinking about who is this one singular person or a number of singular people that we want to speak to. What do they do? How do they live their lives? Did they go to university? So is it Freddie that went to uni, has just got out of uni, and we've got a product that we think will fit them, and we know that they go to the gym after work, we know that they go out with their friends on a weekend, we know that you can go as granular as they love escape rooms. I don't know, that just popped into my head. Or it could be Sally, who's 54, she's got 2 kids, one's just gone off to university, she's got two dogs, doesn't like cats. You know, you're building up your audience. Who are they? And you're really starting to understand them as people, what they're interested in, and their values, their ambitions, the things that they do in their life, and how do we connect to those. And we have different subsections of people that we know in granular detail. Am I doing this one, or you want to do this one? Amazing. Caitlin's going to talk to you about the generations and how they're different from each other. There you go.
Yeah, so when you're differentiating your audience and who you're speaking to, how you're speaking to them, generations are actually a really great place to kind of get that foundation and to start. So I'm not going to ask everybody in here to say what generation they're a part of, because... No. Okay, fine.
The slides mixed up again. It's supposed to be the wrong generation, so it's millennial. I'm not on the slide. I mean, you should be on millennial.
You should be on millennial, Joe. Okay. Yeah, Joe's 29. Right. Okay. Hands up if you are Gen Z in here. I'm personally Gen Z, and so is our good friend Ben, who's here again on the slides. Hands up if you're a millennial. I think we've got maybe majority millennial. Right, and hands up if you're Gen X. Right, do you know what? Gen X might be the winners in this room. So the ways that these different generations kind of interact with marketing, how marketing reaches them, the ways they think, the ways they feel are going to be so different. There'll be overlap for sure, but there's such big differences. I mean, personally, you see a lot of Gen Z on TikTok. I use TikTok. It's kind of the stereotype that a lot of Gen X is on Facebook. I know my mum is on Facebook. She might be mad that I've shouted her out as a Gen X here. But yeah, I see the slides have gone a little bit weird, but that says baby boomer. Is anybody in here a baby boomer? No. I don't think I'll ask if anyone in here is Gen Alpha, because I really don't think anyone's 12 and under. But it's what's worth keeping in mind is that baby boomers won't be interacting with marketing as much as Gen Z. And it's also really important to keep in mind that Gen Alpha, although they're 12 years old right now, they're growing and they're using social media and they're interacting with marketing more and more. And just as the generations grow and shift, keeping them in mind is really important when you're kind of discussing and looking at audience. So here's a fun fact that some of you might have heard in the panel this morning when Clover mentioned it, but the baby boomers are heading off to retirement at 60 plus, so that's my grandparents. They're retired and they're on a cruise every week. And by 2030, the youngest Gen X will be 50 and the eldest will be 65. So that's only 5 years from now that the Gen X generation will be kind of on their way to retirement, clocking out from socials a bit probably, definitely a more peaceful existence. So the kind of future of the online space is kind of on the shoulders of Gen Z right now. So by 2030, the most populous and diverse generation will account for 30% of the workforce, which means that when you're kind of speaking to an audience, a lot of the time you'll be speaking to Gen Z. And it's just keeping in mind that as these generations grow, you may need to tweak the way you present your personality, not necessarily change it, because staying true to you is like the most important thing, but tweaking the way you speak and the way you kind of approach things is definitely important depending on generations. Right. So I'm here with, this isn't a game this time, but it does reference a game. So anybody in here play Pokémon or ever played Pokémon? Right. We've got 3 hands up. Right. Or watched Pokémon. Okay, there we go. There's a bit more. So this might be a bit confusing right now, but when you're kind of looking at deciding who your audience is, who you're speaking to, who you're targeting, you can go kind of broad. So there's these categories like age, gender, geographical location. That's kind of like when you have Pokémon and you sort them into grass type, water type, fire type, these really broad categories that can kind of create an overarching larger audience. But in the same vein, you can have a very niche audience. So like Clover was saying, I think it was Freddie who's in university and goes to the gym. That is the same as a Pokémon that has likes and dislikes and says its name and has a unique look and a unique identity. If you kind of think of your audience as Pokémon in the ways that you categorize them, it can kind of help make those kind of audience personas that are broad and those audience personas that are a little bit more niche and specific.
I used to have a Tamagotchi.
I used to love Tamagotchi. I guess you could do the same with a Tamagotchi, if you can treat an audience like that. And then the other thing that ties kind of into it all is to think about what exactly you're doing with your marketing. So the internet and social media is massive. There's so much happening, and then every week there's about 20 different new things happening. In my brain, I kind of split social media into these two categories, kind of the more old school, I guess. So that's like your Facebook, your Instagram, your LinkedIn, the ones that have been around for a bit longer. And then there's these new school ones that some people haven't even heard of, like Blue Sky, Telegram, Discord, things that people are using and that are really growing but aren't as known about, especially when you're kind of looking into marketing. So one of the best ways that you can apply like your audience and your personality to your actual marketing is to look at these online spaces and to find out who sits where. So if you're trying to target Gen Z, it's very likely that they're going to be on TikTok. It's likely that they're going to be using these newer platforms like Blue Sky and Telegram. If you're trying to target this kind of Gen X who typically are on maybe Facebook, then that's probably where you need to look. And this doesn't just apply to social media, it applies to kind of all aspects of marketing. So advertising, like print, any sort of newsletters, websites, it's kind of knowing what the space looks like online and in person, and really tailoring what you do and all of this information that you have in your head of your personality and your audience, and having it all kind of work cohesively together on a platform that works for you. Because if you know who you're talking to and what you're saying, but you don't know where to reach them, then really you're just kind of talking to the void. So it's definitely really important to kind of at least have base knowledge of the kind of online climate at the moment. I'm going to pass back to Clover.
Just kind of, just on this point as well, I noticed, so YouTube is on there, and often people don't think of YouTube as being a social platform, but it's probably one of the biggest social platforms that there is. And one of the reasons that it's so great when we're talking about brand personality and how we get out there and how we reach people is its use of video. And you'll see that that's running now through all of the platforms. Short form video is a really key marketing tool when we're talking about how we get our brand personality across, how we connect with people, how we show people who we are as humans. That human thing is coming back through. So that can when I say short form, we can be talking about TikTok, or we can be talking about Reels. We're often talking about vertical video, which you'll see across all platforms. If anyone's an avid LinkedIn user, any hands up in the room for avid LinkedIn users? I bloody love that platform, I really do. But you'll see that now they've sort of avoided video for quite a while, and they didn't give it the love and attention that other platforms did. Right now, video's just starting to boom on LinkedIn, and they've just implemented vertical video that you can swipe through in the same way that you do on Instagram, in the same way that you do on TikTok, in the same way that you do on YouTube. LinkedIn are just starting to promote that. So if there's a little top tip from a marketing point of view from me, get in on that early, because it's happening right now. And if you're one of those brands that makes it on that platform and makes it when there's this new tool that everyone's getting into, and they're really starting to promote unknowns on there as well, because they want that to work, they want people to engage. That's a top tip from us, is to get onto LinkedIn and use those video shots. But video really is, whether it's short form, like I just mentioned, or whether it's long form, we're talking about big brand experience pieces, we're talking about big adverts, whether that's on TV. You can be really, again, really granular with your marketing on TV. You can, in the same way that you can pinpoint an audience on social media, you can pinpoint an audience when you're looking at TV ads by the persona that you want to see and want to find. You can pinpoint them. So you'll be watching a different advert to your neighbour, and you're watching the same TV programme. It's wild. But video, yeah, really important and really key when you're trying to get across your brand personality. There's your messaging, your tone of voice, all of these things. The best way to show people who you are is whether you're meeting them in person or you're meeting them over video. It's really important. So, sorry, just wanted to touch on that. So, to summarise brand personality, thank you all for being here today. We've got 5. We don't have, I think we've got 5, but we've got key takeaways. And I just wanted just a quick quiz that Caitlin's not going to do. I'm going to do it. Does anyone know what takeaway that is? You can't answer, Joe. You're from the area. Oh, you're close. Yeah. Anyone want? Sure.
It should be one person around the brand percent. We can talk to it so he can talk to our audience in a certain way that will resonate with us, with them, and all of that.
Yeah.
That's the question.
No, there's some really great insight, and I thank you for giving that feedback. Hello.
I reckon that's a palm.
You're correct. So I was wondering what the takeaway food was that I was putting on the slide. But I'm going to come. No. I'm going to come right back to you, because that was bloody brilliant, and I really appreciate it. But it's a northern Parmo, and I recommend everybody have one. So if you come up to the north, come up to Middlesbrough, I'll treat you to one. Maybe don't all come at once, but if you do, it's the best Parmo, the best takeaway food on the planet. Anyway, that worked. So some key takeaways: know your audience. Align with customers' values and aspirations. Define your brand values. Choose 3 to 5 that align with your brand. That reflects your culture. That reflects your and that they also support your ambition. Use storytelling. We talked about video. We talked about brand messaging. We talked about the makeup of what makes you. Storytelling is key to that. A strong narrative makes a brand feel more human. We've been telling stories around the fire pit since day dot, and that's not going away. It's not going anywhere. That is key to any brand in any marketing, is telling stories. So when you thinking about your personality, think about what's the story that will connect people to you. Being consistent, ensuring that personality, and we've talked about this a ton, is reflected across everything that you do. Platforms, you can talk about things in a particular way to connect to different audiences that you might find in different spaces, absolutely. But being consistent with who you are as a person is absolutely essential. And adaptation, you can adapt and evolve, and that's really important. But staying true to who you are as like anyone, right? We've all adapted since I won't tell you how I've adapted since I dropped out of school when I was 15. But the key makeup that makes me me, the things that are important to me have stayed the same. So we all have those things. It's the same in brand. You can grow, you can change, you can evolve, but the key things that make you will always stay true. At Wonder, we practice what we preach, so you can check us out online. But yeah, we do a ton across our socials because we know how important brand personality is. We implement that ourselves, right? I think one thing that I always think when you're looking at working with an agency, whoever you might look to work with, look at what they're doing online, because is it important to them? If it's important to them, you'll see that across their own marketing. So Wonder, for example, organically, we in the past 12 months, over 16 million views on our own stuff, and then 4 million on TikTok. We're really starting to put some time into growing our TikTok channels at the minute. And yeah, I just raced through that because I've got 6 minutes left, and I wondered if anyone had any questions and if anyone liked the dog. Cool, I'll grab.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing, there's a mic. Even better. And I love your tattoos, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you didn't wear the long sleeve thing?
No, well,
yeah.
I'm gonna get to that.
Okay, brilliant.
Yes, hi, I'm Sasha, founder of Malka London. I wanted to ask a little bit about the storytelling.
Yes.
I would love to know, how do we tell stories through our social media? Because I feel like Instagram has been, as you said, so crowded and in short formats. How do you use storytelling through all social media and for what reason?
Yeah, so great question. Storytelling is vital. There's loads of ways in which we can do that, and sometimes there's a sacrifice there of wanting to entertain, like you're saying on shorts, and you sacrifice some of that more some of those longer storytelling moments. But storytelling is across the whole brand, and it's really trying to get people to connect to where you've come from, what you've learned, what you've experienced, and there's loads of ways in which we do that. Obviously, your space online is where people are going to find you, so they want to understand where you've come from, what your makeup is, and how we do that. We do that through shorts, we do that through long form. I think what's key is having a mix of content and talking about it in different ways. It's not saying that every time you speak to someone or every time you have a new customer or audience, you're going to tell them this whole backstory of who you are. But there's little snippets there where you can help get a message across with a story of how you've come to understand that thing, why this value is important and why you're talking about it, why they should come on board with you because they connect with you. There's these little moments of storytelling that we can use. And the reason that I say video is important for storytelling is just because that's that digital face-to-face contact. You know, we at the end of the day we buy from people, and how can we feel as human as possible? And storytelling is one of the ways in which we can do that. But yeah, if you have a look if you follow me on LinkedIn, I talk about it a ton. So feel free to do that, and I'll be able to give some more insight. I think this gentleman had a question for me, and then. And he also had some great tattoos.
Thank you. So I did have a question. I will try and get there at some point. So the main reason that I'm here on day 2 was to come and see you. Brand identity is huge to me, but I feel like I haven't been my authentic self for the last few years on social media. I came to that realization yesterday, and it was quite painful. So I guess the ultimate question I've got is, by not being my authentic self all this time, have I damaged the brand, and can I now change what I'm doing to be more authentic?
So firstly, thank you so much, and let's definitely catch up after this and talk about it in much more detail. But I would say that the short answer is no, you haven't damaged your brand. So don't worry about the things that have been done. What's really important is the fact that you've identified that that it hasn't felt right to you, and that now you're in a space and you're in a place where you feel confident and comfortable with who you are, and how you want to present yourself. I think like it's difficult to be authentically you. Like I don't think it's easy, and I understand that when I'm talking about it, that people might think, oh well, it's easy for you because you've started that way, and what about where I am now and how I do that now? But at the end of the day, it's a vulnerable place to be, being really you, because people can then, if you're authentically you and you're not putting on a mask, then when people say things, it can hurt. So it puts you in a really vulnerable place. But what it allows you to do is to really connect to people. You can smell inauthenticity a mile away, and it stinks, right? But when we connect most to people is when we connect to them on a real human, personal level. And I think if that's what you're focusing on now going forward, like that you are unstoppable, because your biggest superpower in life is being authentically you, because there is nobody else on this planet that is like you. Oh. Forgot this. Hello.
Thank you for that. It was really nice to hear about everything. I appreciate everything that you said. Really resonate with everything. So, I guess two things quite broad. So I do video marketing for other brands.
Amazing. Let's connect.
I love focusing on personal branding and storytelling, because I 100% with everything that you've agreed. I guess two things. How have you got any advice for someone who is still very early stages of their business journey on how to work with more bigger brands and to grow a business and work with more people like you have? And the other thing of how you're convincing people that, again, are at that point that they know that they need to do it, because social media is the way forward with a lot of things, that know that they need to do it, but are obviously in that sort of bit of a gap where, again, whether it's coming into money or confidence and things like that, to sort of convince them sort of for taking the leap that it is something that they should, and obviously to then work with someone who really embodies, the personality of people's brands and stuff like that, rather than let's just make you a boring TV ad or a boring video telling people what you do, and really embracing that personality of things.
Yeah, I mean, really great points. I definitely think that it's that added value, and that probably is the thing that kind of answers both. How do you meet and convert bigger clients, and how do you help grow the ones that you've got to get to the point that you are? And it all comes down to the value that you're adding. If you have that something that makes you completely unique, something that means that you can then add something different that nobody else can add. And I think that's something that you need to figure out in yourself, that makeup of your personality, what makes you different to everybody else, what is the added value that you can give that customer and that client, and then that true self-belief that you can do it, just being able to just go for it. It's so hard, it's so daunting, it's so vulnerable, but that belief in yourself that you actually genuinely have that solution to that problem, you genuinely can make a difference to that client, whether it's someone that's down the road on the high street, or whether it's McDonald's or Starbucks or whoever, you've got the solution that is going to make a difference to them. And as soon as you can get that mindset connected through everything that you do, unstoppable. I think we're out of time, but I will be here or I will be out there, and I would honestly, if anyone has any questions, I would love to catch up, and I'd love to talk through them. Thank you so much for being here. If I did race through a little bit, I am so sorry. I just came back from Austin, Texas, like late yesterday. I was at South by Southwest, so my brain is like fog. But thank you for sticking with me. Please follow us. And can I just also say a massive well done and thank you to Caitlin. She was incredible. So thanks, everybody.